going on, everybody? So, wanted to do a video for a friend that's trying to get into this game because I realized as they expressed desire to get into this game and asked how to play that it's actually quite complex, and I feel like Treaty is a little more complex because there's kind of like a booming skill that you need to learn, and then there's the whole military fighting kind of skill that you need to learn. So this is kind of a boom guide for European civs for Portugal specifically. I chose Portugal because it's kind of fairly vanilla and kind of has I feel like it's a good civ to start playing with because there's just a lot of different compositions that you can use with Portugal versus other civs, and they also have a pretty good economy. So the general premise of Treaty and booming is that you want to maximize your resource collection during the treaty period and get to Imperial age as quickly as possible. The reason why we're trying to age as quickly as possible is because additional cards and techs become available in each age. And obviously that allows you, to have higher gather rates. So it's kind of a balancing act between collecting resources, training villagers, and aging to Imperial. So when you spawn into the game, you're going to start out with a number of villagers and a various amount of resource crates. It depends on which civilization you're playing as to how many you get. And your first priority is going to be to collect the resource crates and then go on hunts. A lot of people also build a market and research, a tech that gives you faster hunts. I do that also. So I'm going to kind of walk through these steps, and I'll pause at various states to kind of explain what I'm doing. And then just kind of, when you're doing a deck, also you want to, during the booming period, we're going to be sending all these resource cards or gather rate increase cards. We're not going to be sending any military cards during the boom. So here we go. So first thing we're going to do, collect these resource crates. We're going to start training villagers. We're going to build a market and a house, and then we're going to go on hunts. Because to age, we need to get 800 food or 900 if we want the infantry upgrade. So that's what we're going to do. And then also just kind of a general, so you always want to explore the blank parts of the map in the game, and treasures are very important early on in the game, just because you have such a minimal amount of resources. And the XP that you get from killing guardians helps you get your cards faster, and not to mention the resources, So like if there was a wood treasure here or something, I don't have to collect wood to be able to research that tech early in the game. So we're going to kind of walk through that. All right, so we're going to...
Qual é a sua... Correto. Sim, sim. Qual é a sua ordem? Vou fazer. Caçador. Preparada. Caçador. Caçador. Qual é... Sim, caçador. Qual é a sua ordem? Correto. Caçadora. Qual é a... Vou executar. Construtora. Construtora.
So the new villagers that come out, I would need to collect 50 wood and 50 coin to be able to get a hunting upgrade in the market. So the villagers that are coming out, I'm immediately putting them on gold and then on wood to get 50 of each. Unless I find a treasure that has one or the other, then I'll kind of micro based on that. The rest of the villagers are going on food. Here's a wood treasure. So if I can just do that, then I only have to collect coin. So I'm at 50 coin, now I just need 50 wood. Then I can get hunting dogs. So there's 3 techs for most civs for hunted gather rate, coin gather rate, and then wood gather rate. So now I got that treasure, and now I can research hunting dogs, so I'm going to do that. Everybody else is going to go on food. I also have a home city shipment available. So again, we want to start with economic cards only first. And we want to kind of play this smart. So like I have an economic card here for estates. Well, we don't build estates until Imperial age, so it doesn't make sense to send that now. So most economic or European civs have access to economic theory, so we'll send that. Portugal also has the Vitoria's card, which allows town centers to gather passively resources. I'm going to send economic theory first. And again, we're looking for more treasures. So you always want to keep villager queued until you're ready to upgrade. And then kind of herding is another thing that you want to do. So putting a villager past the hunt and then shooting in the direction. You want to kind of keep everything consolidated so that you're not sending villagers. They don't have to walk as much. Got to send that card. Looks like we have another wood treasure and a coin treasure. Portugal also has, the Explorer has Spyglass where you can explore a blank part of the map and it reveals it temporarily.
Qual é a sua ordem? Sim. Olá, caçadora. Caçadora. Sim. Sim. Correto. Sim. Preparada? Qual é a sua... Sim. Caçadora. Preparado.
So now I'm going to be ready to go to the next age here, so I'm going to age up with wood. You can age up with attack for 100 food more. I'm going with 400 carts wood. Then I usually go ahead and research the wood upgrade because I'm going to need that later. And then now I want to start preparing for the next age. So the age up that I chose, the politician that I chose, gives me 400 cords or crates of wood whenever I age up. So I don't have to chop to get the next upgrade, but I'm going to start collecting coin because age 3 requires 1200 food, 1000 coin. And then we have 2 techs here that'll be available once we age up for coin gather rate. So I want to get that next. I'm going to go ahead and send that Vitoria's card.
Sim. Sim. Eu vou. Preparado. Correto. Eu vou.
And then I'm continuing to explore at the same time.
Qual é a sua... Sim. Caçadora.
Depending on the map,
Caçadora. Qual é a sua ordem?
depending on the map, you know, some have more treasures, some don't. A unique feature to Portugal, you get a town center with every age up. I'm going to collect those wood crates or cords of wood that I got with the age up, and then I'm going to go ahead and research the gold gather rate. And I'm going to set these villagers to go on coin after they're done with this hunt. So the object is you want to optimally gather the right amount of food while still being able to train villagers while also being prepared to go up to the next age. Portugal specifically, I'm about to have a second town center, so it's going to require more food. This is something you learn over time and kind of adjust your routine a little bit, but it'll make sense after you do it more. Go ahead and get that second coin upgrade, which costs 200 food, 200 coin, or wood, excuse me. Then I'm going to go ahead and queue up the hunt upgrade as well, which is 125 wood, 100 coin. So now with the second town center, I'm going to start training villagers there as well, and then they're set to go onto the coin mine. I have another card available, but there are no relevant cards to this part of the boom, so we're going to save that shipment for now.
Olá, assalariado.
Let's see if we can steal this treasure from the AI. Oh, the explorer's down.
Preparado? Eu vou.
Again, we're microing to 1,200 food, 1,000 coin.
Sim. Qual é sua ordem?
Qual é sim?
Probably need to put a few more on hunts.
Sim, eu vou. Qual é caçador? Sim. Correto.
Then with Portugal, so every just want to explain. There's different politicians that you age up with and enable different abilities. This varies greatly among civilization to civilization, even the European civs. So most um, people age up with a town center wagon whenever they go to age 3. Portugal is unique in that it doesn't have that because you get a town center wagon with every age up anyway. So in this case, we're microing for the ages up very fast.
Sim. Caçadora. Sim.
I'm going to start herding this hunt closer to the town center.
Qual é sua ordem? Eu vou. Correto.
Preparada. Caçadora.
Preparado? Eu vou. Sim. Correto. Atacar! Atacar! Sim. Preparado?
Go ahead and build a house too so I don't space.
Olá. Sim.
So again, Portugal, each age up, unique ability. You get a town center wagon with every age up. Whenever you place your town centers, you want to kind of do it strategically, right? So you don't want to bunch them up all here in the center because these resources are going to be depleted, and I'm going to have to shift down here to these mines and to these hunts. So by placing a town center down here on the edge of the radius where I can build, I'm able to start training and putting villagers on this hunt, this mine. That way they're not walking all the way from up here. So you want to kind of think about it. Additionally, when you get to the third age, most European civs, you're going to send 2 shipments, so royal mint and refrigeration. So these boost all food gather rate and all coin gather rate. So I'm going to send refrigeration first, and then we're going to start microing to get up to the industrial age. Industrial age, we need 2,000 food, 1,200 coin.
Qual é a sua caçadora? Caçadora. Olá. Qual é a sua ordem? Caçadora. Vou caçadora.
So
Qual é a caçadora?
one thing you can do is shift click and kind of queue commands for villagers.
Qual é a sua ordem?
So like for them villagers that were just there, I click on them, hold down shift, right click on the hunt, and then right click over here. You can queue their actions by holding shift.
Preparado? Qual é a sua ordem? Caçador.
Then you can also set the waypoint to be a specific action. So like here, it's set to go on this hunt.
Sim.
So when the villager trains, it's going to pop out and immediately start hunting.
Preparado? Correto. Atacar! Sim. Sim.
We're getting close to that 1,200 coins, so I don't want to overgather. I want to age up as quickly as possible. So as soon as we get to 1,200 coin, I'm going to put everybody on food. And in preparation of that, I'm going to start herding this closer to the town center.
Preparado? Qual é a sua ordem? Atacar! Correto.
Alright, so we have the proper amount of coin.
Qual é a sua ordem? Caçadora. Vou caçadora.
Qual é a sua
We're going to go fully on food now.
Sim. Qual é a sua ordem?
There's 2 more wood upgrades that we need here, but we're not going to do that right now. Another unique ability with getting a town center with each age up is it also gives you population space. Alright, so now I'm going to queue age 4 and I'm going to age up with 1,000 chests of coin. Now we need to start getting ready to go to Imperial age, so we're going to need 4,000 coin, 4,000 food. So again, we're just kind of doing the same thing, microing for that. The second shipment I sent was Royal Mint, and then once we get to Industrial age, we're going to send both factories as quickly as possible. Shift click them to come down here when they're done. Go ahead and send them here. When they're done, go over here. You're always going to max out your villagers no matter what civilization you play. You always want to get to the maximum amount of villagers so that you can collect as many resources as possible. Start exploring the other side of the map here.
Sim, assalariado. Preparado. Qual é a sua... Vou fazer caçador.
Preparada.
So we're going to build this out here, send a factory wagon, and then we want to collect these chests of coin that we got from the age up. And then see, I'm housed right now, so I'm going to go ahead and build a house too. Should have been paying attention to that. Because now I'm housed, I can't train villagers until that town center is built or until I build another house. First factory wagon's here, we're going to build that. We're going to set it to coin. Start herding that hunt in. So now we have 4 town centers, and then each town center is also passively collecting resources.
Sim, voz caçadora. Qual é a sua ordem?
Assalariado.
Preparada.
Preparado. Assalariado.
So, just want to explain, there's a couple different age ups. For most European civs, it's going to be the 2,000 chests of coin. If you're playing with mercenaries, then you will obviously age up with mercenaries. But again, all these politicians vary slightly on European civs. African, Asian, and natives are completely different, and not really going over that here. So we're going to age up with 2,000 chests of coin. And then now that we're going to Imperial age, I'm going to start setting or collecting wood because we're going to have to build out our eco. So I'm going to set them to finish these mines and then start chopping. Send that second factory. And we're going to start also getting our market upgrades for wood since we're about to start collecting a bunch.
Lenhadora.
Caçador. Linhador. Preparado.
Pull these off the coin and go down to here to this hunt.
Sim, caçadora. Caçadora. Olá. Caçadora.
Qual é a sua ordem?
Qual é a sua caçadora?
Set a factory to food or wood.
Vou fazer.
Caçadora. Caçadora. Qual é a sua ordem?
Caçador.
Tell them to go down here when they're done.
Sim.
Sim. Caçadora. Sim. Caçadora.
Olá. Vou executar. Construtor. Construtor.
Build 2 more houses so I have enough room for 100 villagers.
Preparado. Linhador. Qual é a sua ordem? Construtor.
Then I need to build a capital so that I can get
Construtora.
upgrades.
Construtor. Lenhadora. Qual é a sua ordem? Vou fazer. Correto. Vou lenhadora.
And we want to keep those villagers coming out. Go ahead and get the third upgrade for wood at the market. Set the other factory to wood. I'm just going to set all my town centers up here to the top. So here in the capital, very important that you get these upgrades because they provide 50% for wood, food, and coin. And they each require 1,000 of the opposite resource. So a little tight on food here. So I'm going to go ahead and send the food first because I have enough resources for it now, but I need 1,000 food to get the wood upgrade. So I'm going to set my factories to food to kind of offset that temporarily, since I don't have as many on hunts. And I'm going to go ahead and send the first mill card.
Olá. Linhador.
And I'm going to start building mills.
Qual é a sua ordem?
Portugal,
Construtor.
it's I normally do a 42-42 split. There's
Construtor.
a couple variations that people do differently there, but that's what I do.
Preparado? Sim. Qual é a sua ordem? Olá. Linhador.
Sim. Lenhadora. Lenhadora.
It's also a good idea to react to any idle villagers because obviously idle villagers are not collecting resources. Once the first mill's built, I'm going to start doing the upgrades there that increase the gather rate for mills.
Sim. Linhador. Qual é a linhador? Linhador.
Alright, so I have enough to get the wood chopping upgrade at the capital and go ahead and get that. And then I'm going to do the second upgrade in the mill.
Sim.
Linhador. Linhador.
Preparada. Qual é a sua lenhadora?
One thing I didn't do earlier was build a church. So some of these buildings have passive trickles or income. So like a church, for example, gives you XP so that you get shipments faster. And then there's also a tech in the church to get a bunch of XP all at once. The tavern gives you passive gold income. It's not a lot, not something you need to do early in the game, but like, for example, I could have chopped a little bit extra to build the church, or I could have found wood treasures that gave me the opportunity to be able to build this earlier in the game. Depending on the map and the civ, I might, want to have to, or might decide to do that for a church. It just depends on the civ I'm playing and the map. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, it's just however you want to do it. That's the whole thing with this game is everybody thinks that my way is the best way or their way is the best way. It's a strategy game with, hundreds of different cards. Like, yeah, sure, there's some optimal ways that people do it, but there's also, it's okay to make some variations. So, I'm going to continue to build out the mills, collect wood, and then I'm going to start splitting up villagers onto food. I have a lot going idle all at once.
Olá. Lenhadora.
Qual é a sua ordem?
Let's
Qual é
build
a
a
sua
church.
ordem? Construtora.
Might as well build this tavern.
Construtora. Lenhadora.
Sim.
Sim. Lenhadora. Olá. Lenhadora.
Olá. Linhador. Preparado. Olá. Construtor. Construtor. Linhador.
Preparada.
Alright, so I'm at max villagers now and I don't need any more food, so make sure both of those are set. And then I have another shipment. So I kind of want to explain something unique to Portugal. So we have, some civs have 3 food cards. They'll have another up here for mills in age 1. Portugal doesn't have that, but Portugal has a unique church card. So every European civ has a church card. Some are better than others. So Portugal's, for example, once we send this card, then there's going to be new texts that show up here. Portugal specifically gives you a higher gather rate on food, but a slightly lower gather rate on everything else. So we want to send that, and once we have all the maximum food upgrades, that's when I'm going to put everybody on the food. So I'm going to send the church card.
Preparado. Linhador. Olá.
Olá. Qual é a sua
Get these
ordem?
villagers
Lenhadora.
off of hunts. I'm going to go ahead and start splitting these up. And I put 7 on each mill.
Qual é a sua ordem? Camponesa. Camponesa.
Olá.
Sim. Qual é a
Sim.
sua ordem?
Qual é a sua ordem? Sim.
The methodology behind putting 7 on each mill is that they kind of, as they walk around, they bump into each other less.
Camponês. Preparado.
Sim. Preparada. Construtora.
Sim.
Olá.
Olá. Preparado. Sim. Olá. Camponês.
Preparada. Lenhadora.
Preparado. Linhador.
Alright, so now here at the church, we see we have this card, these 3 cards that just appeared. Those are the unique texts for Portugal. So plus 20 for mills and then minus 5 to everything else. So we definitely want to do that.
Sim.
Now I want to start getting ready for coin collection. So one, I'm going to send the XP, so this will give me 2000 XP, it costs 1500 coin. And then I'm going to start building my estates for coin.
Construtor. 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 Linhador.
There's also a tech here for coin collection, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I have 2 cards to send here, so I'm going to send the 2 estate cards. Boost the gather rate for that.
Preparado.
And then like the mill, the estates are going to have upgrades in them as well.
Olá. Lenhadora. Sim. Lenhadora.
Qual é a sua ordem?
Olá.
Sim. Linhador. Olá. Linhador.
Preparar. Lenhadora. Sim.
Sim. Eu vou.
Also going to build here on the native post on this map. It has a food collection gather rate in there, so natives are sometimes underappreciated by newer players, but all the different natives have different techs. Some are better than others, but it's always good to get the upgrades there if you can. And then also for your start fight, you can, have a little bit higher pop army. The second upgrade of the estates. It's here. 10% gather rate on mills, so we want to get that. Getting that last upgrade for estates. I'm going to go ahead and send that last estate card, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting
Qual é a sua ordem?
villagers on
Assalariada.
coin.
Preparada. Qual é a
Again,
sua
7
ordem? Assalariada.
Olá.
Sim.
on each one. The reason for that is so that they don't kind of bump into each other. It's a little more efficient. Don't have to do that, but a lot of players do.
Qual é a sua ordem? Olá. Preparado? Sim. Assalariado. Olá. Construtor.
And also that last estate card I sent is a team card, so that also boosts any of your allies' gather rates for coin as well.
Olá. Assalariada.
Oh, I did that one already.
Qual é a lenhadora?
Preparado? Assalariado. Qual é a sua ordem?
Alright, so now we're completely maxed out on resource collection. So like I said, I do a 42-42 split, and then the rest on chopping and then building buildings. So now what I want to do, kind of a routine thing, I want to build the remainder of my houses, I want to build an arsenal, and we've sent all of our economic cards, so now we want to start to send military upgrades. So first I'm going to build all the remainder houses. Arsenal. And then I want to start building military buildings. So you kind of want to be thoughtful in how you lay out your base. Generally speaking, you want to kind of keep your economy as tight as possible. And that way you don't have to, it makes it a little bit easier for walls.
Preparado? Sim.
So I got a villager down here building the remainder of the houses and arsenal, and I'm going to have to task another villager with building military buildings.
Construtora.
So I'm going to build 2 barracks, 2 stables, artillery foundry, and then an outpost. Outpost is so that we can get the outpost upgraded, then we're going to delete it and we're going to use it in our fight area later. Just going to kind of repeat the same thing over here so that if the enemy comes from any different direction, I can have production ready to go. Some people like to do their walls on the outside, and then the military buildings behind it. You can do that. It's just how you want to lay it out. It also kind of depends on your opponent and who you're going against. You know, different matchups might have a different strategy. Like, for example, if you're against a Russia, you know, maybe they're going to try and do an Opry run or something, so they could easily take out your military buildings. So it just kind of want to be thoughtful in how you lay it out. Next, I'm going to start doing walls. So I'm going to right-click on this villager, and then hold down Shift, and I'm just going to lay out a bunch of walls. But this villager's not actually going to build. I'm going to use this villager. I'm just using this villager to lay out the walls. And I guess I'm assuming that you know how to do pillarless walls. That's how I build walls, how most people build walls. It saves you a little bit of wood. It's a little bit faster. So the general idea is to do 2 segments, just when it pops over 2. And then build that, and then we're going to delete the pillars in a little bit. So I generally do 5 layers. So I'm just going to kind of wrap those around. And if you don't know how to do pillarless walls, I have a separate video on my YouTube for pillarless walls. To search walls or pillarless on my channel, and you can see it. Kind of explains how to do this. And the native post here in the middle kind of is an impenetrable area, so you can kind of include that as part of your wall. Idle villager. It's important to react to idle villagers. I have a shipment available. I'm going to wait. I've sent all my economy cards, so there's nothing urgent. Alright, now I'm going to delete the pillars. And when this villager's done with this, I'm going to start him on the walls. And then when this villager is done with this over here, I'm going to start her on this side of the walls. You want to kind of be thoughtful too on how you chop. So like on Orinoco, for example, there's a bunch of trees here by the opening. You can only cross the map at this point. So on a wider multiplayer map, like where you have multiple players, if there's trees all in the way, it can really mess up your building and your visibility to things. So you want to, you know, it's wise to kind of chop this so that this is open. So be thoughtful about that. You know, different maps might have walls or trees in the areas that you want to wall. So you might need to chop here earlier in the game. So kind of just take a look around and see what you need to do. So the first shipment I'm going to send after I've sent all the economic cards is the arsenal cards. So this adds more text to the arsenal. So we'll send that card, and then we're going to start doing upgrades for our units. Alright, so for Portugal, we're going to upgrade everything here except heated shot, because that applies to warships, and there's no warships on this map. Some people also skip the cavalry siege. I don't. Everything else here we want to get. Artillery upgrades, hit points, attack, cavalry, all that. Gate some of these walls. of note with walls as well, you want to not upgrade the walls until they're built. And the reason for that is that the bastion walls take longer to build. So no matter, that's true for every civ, not just European civ. So build your base walls first, and then upgrade them before the treaty's over. All right, so now I have my military buildings kind of built out. I can start doing upgrades. So whatever units you're going to play with, you're going to start doing upgrades. So we're going to upgrade the Musk, upgrade the Caçador, we're going to upgrade the Hussar and the Goon, and then we're going to upgrade our artillery. So Portugal has a unique organ gun unit. So some people play with horse art, some people play with organ guns. It's also an unlimited shipment, so I upgrade organ guns and not the horse art for Portugal. No, you can do both if you want. There's just there's no right or wrong answer. Upgrade the outpost as well. I'm also going to take these techs at the natives. So this tech, 20% hit points, 20% Alright, sorry about that. So we're going to go ahead and get these techs here. So 20% hit points, a castle, or basically a fort, and then we're going to upgrade the native attack. So there'll be 2 upgrades for the natives here. So kind of expanding on the whole native, the second upgrade. So newer players don't seem to understand or appreciate the power that natives have. It's an extra unit of that you get as part of your army composition that does not cost population. So it's bonus on top of whatever army you already have. So it's very powerful for you to use natives. Generally speaking, if you're playing with multiple players, you kind of have a discussion at the beginning of the game and decide who's going to play with natives. If it's a 1v1, then obviously it's you. So different civilizations have different cards for natives. So I didn't take my native deck here, but Portugal has a card that makes your native units train slightly cheaper. So they're 75, 25, maybe that drops down to like 60 and 20. I don't know the exact amount, but other civilizations like French has native attack cards, actually has a couple native attack cards and makes them significantly stronger. But natives are definitely something that you want to always use. And obviously there's, probably 40, 50 different natives in the game. I don't know if there's that many, but each one is different. So like, for example, here I have the Mayans and I have the Carib. So Mayans are basically a ranged unit, so it throws a spear and it has a bonus against cavalry. So it's like a Carolean. It does bonus damage against cavalry units from a distance. It's also a heavy infantry unit, so they're countered by cannon and skirmishers. So they're a good unit to have. Go ahead and get these 2 upgrades here. This is going to send a fort wagon, so I'm going to set my home shipment waypoint here for military shipments, and I'm going to have it go there. I'm going to continue doing the upgrades for my units. So Musketeer, Hussar, and I'll do all the Imperial upgrades together here in a sec. If you're playing with natives in your capital, there's also a legendary native warrior, so this kind of gets them to the final Imperial level unit, so you always want to make sure you take that as well. Go ahead and queue up these Javelin warriors. There's also a priest unit here. It doesn't count towards population, it heals your units, but it's not really cost effective for you to be constantly training those. In the church, so we have line of sight upgrades, and then we have train times for cavalry and infantry. We want to make sure we get both of those. Some more gates.
Sim. Construtora.
If you take the unique church tech, there's usually some kind of overpop tech that you get, but we want to wait on that until we have the, I say overpop, but you can use this to overpop. It's units for a cost. So in Portugal's case, you get Black Riders, which is like a Dragoon unit, but we want to wait until we have our full army trained. Alright, so Musk and Caçador, Hussar, Dragoon, Organ Gun, Culverin, Mortars. We have another card to send. So generally speaking, you want to always send your train time cards before the treaty's up. This is very important that you have the fastest train time possible, because rest assured your opponent's going to have it.
Sim, construtor, construtor.
And then for Portugal specifically, and then most civs, there's 2 upgrades for your Explorer. So I want to get those. That gives your Explorer significantly more hit points. Portugal specifically, like higher level players, you'll see using the Explorer cards. The reason for that is your Explorer has a lot of hit points. So it can kind of tank for your entire army. It can absorb, I think in its final state, with the cards sent, it has around 3,000 and such hit points. And then it costs 200 coin for you to ransom your Explorer. So, you know, the idea is that you're kind of constantly training your Explorer or sending him back out so that he can kind of absorb, you know, hit shots from your enemy and kind of tank for your army. So we'll go ahead and get the second upgrade. Do this outpost upgrade. Build this last segment of wall, set these villagers to wood, and then go ahead and do my wall upgrade. You can do it from the wall or from the church. I'm going to rotate my screen here, and now I want to start getting ready for my initial start army. So ideally, you want to scout your enemy and kind of see what they plan on doing. This is, you know, obviously your matchup, if your opponent is making, you know, 50 Hussar or 100 Cossacks, you know, you want to be prepared for that. You want to kind of scout a little bit. So, but just for this purpose, I'm just going to kind of do a mix. So I'm going to train some musketeer units to put them in the front. Do a couple organ guns. Do some Hussar. It's good to do like a little bit of cavalry units, so you can kind of maybe run behind the enemy's front line, maybe kill some villagers, some artillery that's back there. Do some Caçadors as well, skirmisher units. And then I'm also going to do Minutemen, so I'm going to kind of set my waypoint here for each town center. And then now you see I'm at 200 or 200. I also want to send this church tech that gives me Black Riders.
Sim. Qual é a sua ordem? Vou fazer. Sim. Preparado. Sim. Preparado. Qual é a sua ordem? Sim. Qual é a sua ordem? Vou executar. Vou fazer.
So the idea behind Minutemen is that they are taking a volley. They're only going to have 1 hit point by the time that the fight is ready. But if there's a bunch of cannons, if there's that first shot, they're going to take that and they're going to die, and that stops your regular troops from being hit. So it's just a way to absorb some of those shots. Kind of spread them out here.
Sim. Vou executar. Vou fazer. Sim, sim. Vou executar. Sim. Qual é correto? Preparado. Vou fazer. Sim. Olá. Sim.
I'm going to go ahead and send that cavalry training time.
Qual é a sua ordem?
Next, I'm going to put my
Sim?
musketeer
Qual é a
unit.
sua ordem?
It's
Sim?
important that you
Qual é a
do
sua-
a heavy infantry unit, like a musketeer, halberdier, or something like that,
Qual é a sua
so that if your enemy has
ordem?
cavalry,
Qual é a
Sim,
sua
vou
ordem?
executar.
they're the first line of contact. So they also have a rifle, but they also have a bayonet, so they can fight
Qual é a sua ordem?
by hand.
Sim? Preparado. Sim? Sim? Vou executar. Preparado. Sim? Vou fazer. Qual
I'm
é
going
a
to put
sua
some
ordem?
caçadores behind
Qual é a
that.
sua ordem? Preparado. Sim? Vou fazer. Qual é a sua ordem? Preparado. Vou executar. Preparado. Vou fazer.
Spread them out as well. Remember, these are like an anti-cavalry unit, but they're ranged, so I want to kind of tuck them towards the back. Then we're going to spread out our organ guns. We also have the Order Knights here, or Black Riders. I'm going to put them in stand ground mode because they can shoot from a range, and we also don't want them to run up, and get killed by the enemy's
Preparado.
heavy infantry. And then I have my Hussar here.
Vou
So
fazer.
for me, I'll might set this to hotkey 1, and then I'm going to have these right here to the side, and then as soon as the treaty's over, my opponent's lined up here, I'm going to try and run back here and kill their villagers that are building here, or their cannons that are up here. Try to avoid any heavy infantry in the front, or musketeers, or halberdiers, anything like that. Go around it.
Vou fazer. Vou executar. Sim. Preparado.
I'm going to delete this outpost. We've done the upgrades. We'll build the next ones down here at the opening. And then before the treaty's up, you want to have villagers down here ready to go,
Vou executar.
so that you can build quickly.
Preparado. Vou fazer. Qual é a sua? Sim. Sim.
Get these out of limber mode.
Qual é a sua? Vou executar.
Preparada. Lenhadora.
Some people like to get spies. It's usually a waste if you're against an opponent that is good. Like if you're matched in skill, you have spies, your opponent doesn't. You've wasted, in this case, 10,000 coin that your opponent didn't waste. So I know in some of the high-res games, people play with spies. There's also a tech here in the market for villager hit points, so that's helpful for your villagers that are on the front line building. And then we're going to keep factories on wood for now, since I'm playing with natives, and they cost wood. If you're playing with out natives, you could probably do 1 coin, 1 wood. In the factory, there's an upgrade for each resource, though, that makes it collect a little bit faster. Just make sure you get that for whichever one you're on.
Sim. Vou fazer. Sim. Vou executar. Qual é a sua ordem? Sim.
Sim.
So I'm going to have 8 villagers down here ready to build. Ideally, your opponent would be lined up here in the front as well. Obviously, I'm playing against the AI, so it's not going to be
Qual é a sua? Vou executar.
a normal fight.
Preparado. Qual é a sua ordem? Vou executar.
So you always want to be ready to go with your villagers down here. The start fight is very important. Your enemy or you can gain ground, and it can kind of snowball from there. So you want to make sure that you're ready to go
Preparada.
with villagers.
Correto.
You don't want to be walking them down or over here at the start fight. And then as soon as the treaty's over, I'm going to explain just kind of a ideal base setup, that's easy to do whenever you don't have an enemy running down your throat. Okay, so now we can build outside the treaty radius, anywhere on the map. So our priorities are to get to kind of micro our units onto, whatever. So like if the enemy has a bunch of cannon, I want to run those around the side and get the cannons if I can. If I get over there and he has a bunch of anti-cavalry units, then I don't want to waste these hussar. Maybe I run further back and try to get his villagers like I have here, get those villagers so that I can try and interrupt his base startup. So I want to build a couple barracks, stables, and military buildings. So there's an ideal layout, I think, that most people accept. So there's a couple barracks in the front, so you might do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then do stables on the sides, and then your artillery foundries in the front.
Olá,
What that does
construtora.
is exactly Q. So having your barracks in the front, you're going to train all your infantry units from there. They move slower, so you want to have them to the front line as quickly as possible. Stables on the sides, the idea being that you kind of, cavalry comes from the sides, you want to flank cannon, you want to flank skirmishers, things like that. You don't want to just train cavalry units and send them into the front line because if your opponent knows what they're doing, they're going to have musketeers or heavy infantry in the front that are just going to counter and kill your cavalry units. So another sometimes underutilized function is outposts. So outposts are basically a free unit that, well, not free, but it's free cannon unit that's kind of raining cannonballs down on your opponent. So you want to kind of build those out to the side, out of the way. You don't want to have them in the middle where it's kind of making the pathing weird or where it's harder for your villagers to get through. And then also, I only brought down 8 villagers. You can bring down a lot more. You can bring down as many as you need and retrain as necessary. You also want to kind of take into account whoever you're against. So some civilizations have a very aggressive start fight. So like Japan, for example, has a huge start fight. Inca, for example, has a very huge start fight. So it might not be ideal to build all the way up to the front. I might have my army up here and then villagers further back, building back here. Kind of want to think about that, and factor that in with your scouting as well. See, so that's an example of, just walking a unit through, not really microing it, and then before they even get a shot off, they're all dead. So it's kind of what I was talking about with my hussar earlier. Like, you don't want to just send them to the front line. You want to kind of, all right, I'm going to go here to the side, then over here, then back to the cannons. So I'm not really going to go over like different fighting abilities. Again, it's just based on the matchup. This is more just a boom guide and try to explain like how you do the boom. I'll probably do one for maybe Portugal, or I mean for Sweden or Russia. It's a little bit different, but kind of the same. But hope this guide was helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. All right, see ya. Actually, one more thing I want to touch on. So we've sent all of our economy cards. So now we're going to start sending military cards. It kind of can be tailored depending on what units you're using and what your matchup is. So like for Portugal, I would send gunpowder infantry. That does your Caçadores and your Legionnaires, so your musketeer and your skirmisher unit. And then I would send the gunpowder infantry attack. That's again your musketeer and your skirmisher. Then team gunpowder, and then your, if you're playing with hussar, you would send constable. It kind of depends on what units you're using, but you're in this phase is when you're sending your military upgrades. Artillery train time, some like to have that earlier. I usually wait and send that as one of the later cards I send. But yeah, so again, there's a lot of different variants and a lot of different opinions on what's the best strategy, what are the best cards. I'll just say that I think you have to play this game to what suits your play style. So just because a top level player has certain cards or has certain way of playing doesn't mean that it fits your play style. I think some people get kind of hung up on trying to emulate what the pros do, when what you really, in my opinion, should be doing is focusing on what's the best way or strategy for your play style and what you're able to keep up with. So kind of just think about that and kind of what suits you. So again, hope this guide was helpful. Any questions, feel free to comment. See you around.